Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're diving into something every mountain biker from the weekend warrior to the absolute local legend really needs to master, and that's trail prep. We're going to see how turning a basic list of tips into a solid, holistic framework proves one undeniable truth. A few minutes of prep at home literally unlocks hours of total freedom out on the trail. I mean, there is nothing quite like a day on the dirt, right? The fresh air, flowy single track, the sheer thrill of it all. But before your tires ever hit the dirt, how you prep completely dictates what kind of day you're going to have.
So what's the actual difference between an unforgettable, flowy ride and a deeply frustrating hike-a-bike? Well, picture this. You're miles from the car, the sun is just beating down, your water bottle is bone dry, and you're staring at a busted chain with zero tools in your pack. Suddenly, that sleek mountain bike of yours is just a 30-pound metal paperweight you got to push up a mountain. That right there is the high stakes of poor preparation. A tiny oversight at home can literally turn a beautiful afternoon in the woods into a grueling survival march.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll break everything down into 4 cohesive pillars. 1, planning the adventure. 2, prepping your machine. 3, fueling and equipping your body. And 4, mastering your mindset.
All right, let's jump right into pillar number 1, planning the adventure, or what I like to call know before you go.
Step 1 is to know your trail. Taking just a few minutes to research specifics, like trail difficulty, distance, and elevation gain, ensures you're picking a route that actually matches your experience level. Knowing the conditions, checking the weather forecast, and even mapping out parking and trailhead info sets your whole day up for success. You know, if you're heading somewhere totally new, aligning the trail's difficulty with your current fitness guarantees you finish the ride feeling challenged and triumphant, rather than completely overwhelmed.
And this leads perfectly into our next point, which is arguably the absolute most important safety rule of the bunch. Tell someone where you're going. It's such a simple habit. Before you head out, especially if you're riding solo, just shoot a quick text to a friend or family member. Let them know exactly which trail system you're hitting, when you expect to be back at the car, and who you're riding with. It takes, 10 seconds? But if you take a bad spill or get hopelessly lost, this baseline communication can make a literal life-saving difference. Moving right along to our second pillar, prepping your machine. Let's give that bike a check.
So the absolute crucial point is grounded right here. 5 minutes of checking your bike in the driveway will save you hours of frustration out on the trail. If something feels even slightly off, a little clunky or squeaky while you're just pedaling around the pavement in front of your house, I guarantee you it will feel 10 times worse when you're miles from the trailhead, bouncing over roots and rock gardens.
To avoid all that, you need a snappy 5-minute safety check. Think of this as a definitive, non-negotiable procedure before your tires ever touch dirt. First, check your tire pressure and make sure your wheels are totally secure. Second, test those brakes. You definitely want those working. Third, ensure you've got proper chain lube for smooth pedaling. Fourth, check your suspension settings if you have them so you aren't bottoming out on the very first drop. And finally, run through your gears to check the shifting performance. If you do this every single time, you're going to eliminate like 90% of common trail mechanicals.
Now, the real psychology behind carrying basic repair supplies, like a spare tube, tire levers, a mini pump, tubeless plugs, a quick link, and a multi-tool, is that it acts as your ultimate insurance policy. Honestly, you might ride for an entire season and never actually use a single one of these items. But carrying them isn't about expecting failure. It's about peace of mind. Having this small kit tucked in your bag or strapped to your frame means a sliced tire or a snap chain is just a 5-minute trail side pause, instead of a devastating end to your entire day.
With the bike totally dialed in, we shift to pillar number 3, fueling and equipping your body. Dress well and hydrate.
First off, you gotta dress for the conditions. Comfortable clothing and the right gear make a massive difference in how you interact with the trail. Start with a properly fitted helmet, obviously. Then add moisture-wicking clothing to manage sweat, sturdy gloves to protect your hands and boost your grip, appropriate riding shoes, and protective eyewear to keep stray branches and mud out of your eyes. Oh, and here's a pro tip. Always check the forecast, and if there's even a hint of uncertainty, throw a lightweight rain jacket in your pack. Getting cold and wet is a super fast way to ruin a perfectly good ride.
Next up is hydration, and honestly, this gets overlooked by a surprising number of riders. The golden rule: always bring a little extra water. How much you actually need depends on the ride length, the temperature, humidity, and your own physiology. So whether you're rocking a full hydration pack for an all-day epic or just tossing a bottle in the frame cage for a quick sprint loop, factor in those variables. Just remember to always bring a bit more water than you think you'll need.
And to go with that water, you need fuel.
If you're riding for more than an hour or two, packing trail snacks is just smart business. Bananas, energy bars, trail mix, dried fruit, or those little energy chews are all great options. Look, we've all experienced or at least seen the absolute utter desperation of bonking on a massive climb. You know that moment when your legs turn to lead, your vision blurs a bit, and you would gladly trade your ridiculously expensive bike for a single candy bar. Yeah, avoid that. The trick is to eat these snacks early and often, feeding the engine before you get overly hungry.
But hey, before you start burning through that energy, take a quick second to warm up. I know, it is so incredibly tempting to just jump out of the car, hop on the bike, and immediately attack the first steep climb you see. But if you follow these quick warm-up steps, starting with some easy pedaling around the parking lot, maybe a little gentle stretching or mobility work, and consciously keeping a relaxed pace for those first few minutes on the trail, you're giving your joints and muscles the grace period they desperately need. Trust me, your legs will absolutely thank you halfway through the ride.
Finally, we reach our fourth pillar, mastering your mindset. Ride within your ability.
I want you to remember this vital truth. Preparation is not just about gear, it's also about mindset. Keeping a level head, managing your expectations, and being willing to adapt to whatever the trail throws at you is just as critical to a successful ride as dialing in your tire pressure.
Part of that mindset is making a really conscious decision to ride within your ability. You have to remind yourself of this before your tires hit the dirt. You do not have to ride every single feature you come across. If a rock drop or a steep, chunky descent just looks way too intimidating, it is completely fine to get off and walk it. Staying within your comfort zone is hands down the best way to stay safe and actually enjoy your day out there. Remember, skill progression happens gradually, not by forcing yourself into terrifying situations. There's literally no shame in walking a tricky section. Honestly, it's the mark of a smart, seasoned rider.
And bringing a positive attitude allows you to adapt. Because here's the reality, not every ride goes perfectly. You might get a flat tire, you might miss a turn and accidentally add 3 miles to your loop, you might face a climb that absolutely breaks you, or you might get caught in a sudden downpour. Part of mountain biking is just learning to roll with the punches. In fact, if you ask any veteran rider, they will tell you for sure that the rides where they had to adapt, the ones with the missed turns or the crazy storms, almost always end up being the epic stories and the rides they remember the most fondly. Okay, to tie this whole shebang together, we've got a rapid-fire summary. Consider this your ultimate pre-ride checklist to run through right before you walk out the front door. Got your helmet? Water? Snacks? Is the bike checked? Repair kit packed? Phone fully charged? Trail researched? Weather checked? Boom. Taking just 2 extra minutes to mentally tick these boxes at home will literally save you hours of frustration later.
Ultimately, a successful mountain bike ride starts long before your tires ever touch the dirt. By prepping your bike, your body, and your gear ahead of time, you're ready to handle whatever the trail throws your way. The true beauty of all this preparation isn't just about avoiding the unexpected, it's about giving yourself the freedom to actually enjoy it when it happens. So I'll leave you with this. If you knew absolutely nothing could stop you today, which trail would you conquer tomorrow?